What about those being cancelled for like past discrepancies or?
I feel like when people are in their prime, people choose to cancel them. Yeah.
Welcome to another episode of Inkwa Talks, and with me today I have aspired artist and Thai DK. Today's topic we will be talking about cancel culture. So guys, where do we start when it comes to cancel culture?
I think it started off with good origins. From what I know, it originates from the black community on Twitter, as most things do, and was used to punish those in higher positions who wouldn't normally hear the little man's voice or the little person's voice. I do think in terms of how it's used now, or who it's used against, has definitely come back to bite us, because I don't really see a lot of artists outside the black community, or just creatives or people who work off capitalism. I don't see them facing the same repercussions that black artists do in terms of cancel culture. So for example, a black artist speaks out or does anything, and they're almost immediately, if it's not seen as the right thing to do, they're almost immediately shut out, cancelled. But if it's an artist outside our community, then almost nothing happens, or it happens in a certain space. Like for example, it's that lady, Katie Hopkins.
Yeah.
Look how long, and Tommy Robinson. Look how long them two have been chatting a bag of grease and insulting and inspiring hate and promoting all these negative things, but nothing really happens. Katie Hopkins was actually given a platform from the hate that she spewed. Same thing with Tommy Robinson. They were given platforms to do this. So yeah.
But how do you think it's come back to bite us? I mean, the Katie Hopkins, Tommy Robinson thing, that's not a surprise. But how do you think it's come back to bite us?
Because I'm not seeing it really having a massive effect elsewhere. I also think that people grow and change. So while I do think reprimanding someone is great, I also do see a very sinister side to this mob mentality. And I feel like the lesson that is to be learnt with the reprimanding is lost in the mob mentality, for both the person receiving the reprimanding and for the people trying to carry out the lesson.
What about those being cancelled for like past discrepancies or?
That I think is so silly.
Do you? Doesn't it depend on the?
So like the only person that I've recently, well not recently, last year, was a YouTuber, Nella Rose, and I remember she did you see that? She did like tweets when she was like 13, and it was like not discriminating, she was just saying not nice stuff about not Somalians, like people of a different race, and then they brought it back up like now she's famous and got money. I feel like when people are in their prime, people choose to cancel them.
What was her response?
She literally came on, apologized, and she said, I'm grown. Like she was 13 then and she's like 22 now or something. And that's a big growth compared to when you're 13 and you're just on Facebook or social media talking nonsense. But even though you should know right from wrong at 13, to be fair,
you're not really
offending someone is offending someone. That's it. Full stop. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
But you wouldn't think that I was going to be famous in however long, and it all comes and like attacks me.
Isn't that down to like like you say she's 13?
That's young.
And then you say that 22 is like a lot of growth. It can be.
Or
But
some people
it's not. Some people it's not a lot of growth. So it's a matter of how does that person almost figure out where they were at the time and how far they've come. But take for example, Beanie Man. He's written stuff in the past.
Yeah.
And he's been slated and put down, and certain groups will say he's this or he's that, and he's apologized and he said, this is who I was in the past. I'm not that person now. I've educated myself, I've grown, I've learned, I've moved on. I think that what's the word I'm looking for? That phrase or that typical response, I think that can be overused when it comes to the whole I've grown and I've done this and I've done that. I think people only come like that when they've been caught about something. You get what I'm saying? So it's a matter of, with the cancel culture thing, from both sides, it's a matter of, does this person need to be cancelled? And from the other side is, what have I learned from this? Not how not to get caught, but how to think better.
Basically growth.
Yeah.
In a good way.
So yeah, I mean, going back to what you were saying about it started on Black Twitter, how did it start? Do you know?
I did some research into it, and it is, from what I have read, it is still very hard to pinpoint where exactly in the black community it came from, but it has been, on a lot of sources, it has been attributed to the black community. It's probably not like one person saying, okay, we're going to start doing this and we'll call it this. It probably gained its title after it started moving. I mean, you can compare, I was talking to my parents about it, and they were saying how, you know, in their area, when they were growing up, if there was somebody who had done something, you know, like for example, Dutchavelli getting with the younger girl, they said, you know, when they were growing up, there would be someone, you know, down your road that, I don't know, maybe could own a butcher's or own an off license or a grocery, and then you could have heard the story about them doing X, Y, Z, and then people in that community would then veer away, even if it was spoken about or wasn't spoken about, if they had knowledge of it, it was likely that they would veer away from it.
That's true.
I would say maybe cancel culture feels as,
if it's big, only due to social media.
Yeah, it's social media. Like, you have access to talk and speak and gain information from so many different people. That's probably why it's so large. But then again, I think that in terms of how it originated, I think it was needed then, because you had these people who are, you know, millionaires and billionaires. How are you gonna get in contact? Like, what? Okay, you can complain to their management. When is the management gonna open that letter? Are they even gonna open that letter? You know, same thing about complaining to a company. I think you needed, unfortunately, you did need that mob mentality, but I also do still think people do learn and grow. I think it's about how they respond to the upset that is directed towards them.
Yeah. How do you guys feel that social media has played a part in cancel culture? Because obviously, the good thing about social media is that it gives everybody a voice. But the bad thing about social media is that it gives everybody a fucking voice. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And some people, with that, it could only be a tiny bit of power. With that tiny bit of power, are lethal. Especially if they're bitter and they've got certain demons that they may be carrying.
I feel like with social media it's hard because even like speaking about the same girl or other people, I swear there was a famous woman as well, I forgot her name, but she basically got cancelled, and then I don't know whether she committed suicide or she attempted to commit suicide. I don't remember who it was.
I haven't heard
her. But even with that girl, well, the girl that I was talking about previously, her parents passed away, her mother passed away, and then everyone, the same people that were counselling her, came back and were like, oh, you don't know what people are going through, you never know. And it's a bit like, pick one side or the other, because you're either cancelling her or you feel bad for her, which one? So I feel like social media is quick to wherever.
That's the mob mentality.
Yeah, the masses.
I think that's where, that mob mentality is where, going back to, again, what you said, Salim, about something that's used as a tool becoming a weapon. And I've always said most tools are weapons, most weapons are tools. And like you said, the people have now got a voice, how to talk to, how to pull down bigger people or let them know they're doing something wrong. And if them people grouped together become a mob, social media is almost through data and information, it moves people in certain directions. So if they don't like a certain person saying a certain thing about maybe them and the atrocities that they may be committing, and it's touching a part of them, or it's burning the demons that they've got, they're going to use that power and that platform to go against that person and cause that person to therefore be cancelled, making that person seem bad. This is something that's been done throughout history for a long time. It's just propaganda.
Yeah.
So I think going forward, like, how do you know that someone needs to be cancelled? Because a lot of people go on what they've heard, or they might see a video that's been clipped up and then be like, this person's this or that person's that. Like, how do you judge for yourself when someone needs to be cancelled?
I definitely think it's a case by case
situation.
Yeah. I don't think there's like a one rule.
People, they're different. They're all different. And some people get cancelled for the silliest of stuff as well.
For example, there's a tattoo artist that I don't personally follow, but I know for a fact all three of us have seen his work.
I know you're talking about,
He
the one that was sending dick pics.
No, not that dude. This is a recent
Oh
dude,
wow, okay.
Tattoo artist. Hey, I'm not even stop.
Tattoo artists are foul.
Do you know what I mean?
Foul, blood.
You
Foul.
I'm not in the industry for that.
Don't be fooled. No matter what industry you're in, you can work in Tesco's.
Oh my God.
You wanna look at this produce?
Bare cucumbers in your images.
But yeah, so it's a tattoo artist, and he does very, I don't want to air his business, but he does very experimental work. You've probably seen it around. In fact, he aired it out. I guess I could talk about it. And I think about 2 days ago, he got attacked by like a mob of people that were following a woman.
What, physically attacked?
No.
Oh,
Obviously,
okay.
cancel culture
Yeah,
attacked.
yeah.
It's on Instagram. And it was all on the accusations of rape. They were like, he's abused her, so on and so forth. And he didn't respond for a while. And then finally, someone I know reached out to him and said, hey, I've been following you for a very long time. I don't want to turn around and cancel you or like, attempt to mess with your bread, but I'd really like to know, what
Speak on the situation.
are you going to speak on this? Are you not? What would you like me to do? So on and so forth. And he said, thanks for reaching out. I'm in touch with some lawyers to deal with it, blah, blah, blah. And then he kind of spoke about his side of the story, which was that it was an abusive relationship both ways. I mean, probably doesn't justify whatever happened, whatever dark secrets happened in that relationship probably doesn't justify it. But just by speaking to the person, again, it hasn't been taken to court yet. They haven't dealt with it. The facts haven't.
These are tattoo artists.
Yeah.
Is she a tattoo artist as well?
The woman, I know. I think it's just a partner of his.
Okay.
But yeah, so I think just by reaching out to him,
this is what I'm saying.
Social media. Loads of people getting dragged out. Loads of people getting dragged out.
His business?
Kat Von D was getting dragged out.
For what?
Defending some dude inside her studio who was like, I don't tattoo black skin because it doesn't fit my style. And that was an interesting thought to have. To be honest, I'm still thinking about it kind of to this day.
See that? I think I've seen a video on this. I think a guy that I worked with in America has done a video on this. Yeah.
What, with the same person?
Yeah. Big up Freestyle King.
Freehand King. Oh my days, that guy's a G. Yo, big yourself. That guy is so sick.
But I think he done a video on it, and I agree with him.
What did he say?
He said, if it's the video that I'm speaking of and you're speaking of, the guy said he prefers not to tattoo dark skin because it doesn't lean to his style, which I can understand, because if he does a super hyper realistic style, it's not necessarily going to fit a dark skin. But when certain people who are not dark, i.e. European people, say dark, they automatically think charcoal.
So I kind of sorry.
So when you say dark, they think me. Do you know what I mean?
But,
and his style might not fit my skin.
But even then, so I think I thought about that, and I thought back to black individuals' initial entry into the tattoo game, like when it was mainly dominated by like white people back again, and so on and so forth. Kind of still is. But at that point, when black artists came along and started bringing in these different styles that weren't the main three, like tribalism, neorealism, blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff. Mainly white tattoo artists were like, "What is this? This isn't tattooing." And then like speaking about their style and they still do. And speaking about how it may not be applicable to this skin, or may not be applicable to that skin, or it may not look nice.
But isn't it okay for people to have a preference?
on skin.
They're entitled to have a preference of what they want to do.
Absolutely, I agree with. I absolutely agree with
Did you
her on
know
that.
him?
Really?
Because end of the day, like, we don't fucking need no one to service us. We've been servicing ourselves for a decade plus
And
in
there
this
are out
industry.
there, there is
Like,
artists
yeah,
that
there's
can
artists out there that have
suit
been
your
working
skin
for
out
a
there.
long time on dark skin. We don't need no one to come in and highlight our shit and get props for what we've done the groundwork for. No fucking way. No way, not again. It's not happening in this industry. Like, but we're going off topic. But on that topic, I don't think we need no one to come in and service us. I think we are in the best position that we are in right now outside of that industry. Because that industry is poison. It comes with all the microaggressions or macroaggressions that you will find out in the world because it's still part of that world.
I agree on
And
that.
it's not a black-white thing. That's not a black-white thing. That's a mind state thing. We don't want people coming in with the mind state that it's almost like a competition thing and it's a fight
It's
thing.
not.
And
It's just
women have to be down pressed and they can only come in if they're sucking dick. And I've heard so many stories. Fire. Just forget them. Dude, why do you want to be in that industry?
So, I kind of going on the cancel culture thing, speaking about that particular artist that said he didn't want to, his preference was whiter skin. Me bringing up that example was more to say, if it was, I don't know, 50 years prior and a black artist was to come in with XYZ style and he was, deemed not a good tattoo artist by that predominantly white community, he would have been cancelled by them.
Cancelled how?
In terms of he may not get spots in terms of spots in tattoo exhibitions or conventions. Probably wouldn't get his work shown in many places, or he would get less opportunities. That's a physical way of a traditional way of cancelling somebody out.
Think about it. If you go to if that's what you want, your first outsource would be going to a black.
Yeah.
You can also
tattoo
think
shop,
about
if you get my
access.
meaning.
You can also think about access points.
Of course, but look, people travel all around the world to go and get tattoos from famous tattoo artists, so there's no stopping it about access. Like,
Why do you think that would mean they need to be cancelled? Sorry to cut you off, bro. Why do you think that means they need to be cancelled? Like, if they say, does it matter? Like, if you come through their door and they're like, I ain't tattooing you, look at you, man. But if they're like, well, I don't believe that I have the skills to tattoo you, does it depend on their approach?
do you see what I mean?
Like,
It's how people
point
receive it.
at what point? Where is where is the switch for cancellation?
I think that's actually a very good question.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, where is the switch? And as well,
Sure.
there's a lot of people that I get a lot of people I went to this person's page and there's not a lot of black people on their page. I say, okay, cool. But you go to my page and you have to scroll down to see a white person's work, like work
So
on a
it's
white
vice
person.
versa.
So does that mean that I'm prejudiced, or I'm just putting this is it, I serve my community. Like they serve their community and they have served their community. Now we want tattoos. As black people, we want tattoos. We've got black tattoo artists.
Yeah, but you've been abroad and stuff and you've met other black tattoos. That's what I'm saying, there's no excuse. I know people that will be like, I want that artist, so I'm travelling to that country to go and get it done by that artist. Like, I don't see the excuse of access.
He who controls the printing press controls the mind. Because you think about it, Kate Hopkins and Tom Robinson are white people. In their mind, they're fully white people. Like, there's not nothing but white in their head. Yeah. So the people that control the media are fully white people. Like the Daily Mail. The Daily Mail was founded by people who supported the Nazis. Like, you can't expect nothing else than that shit from them. Well, because the slavery is a choice.
No. I think that as a statement, but also the damage that he's doing to the black community with the words that he's used, the confusion and disarray that he
But Kanye's not
gives
the most
with his
famous.
music.
Yeah, and that's that.
with
that's
his
down to
speeches. No,
people,
not necessarily
though.
his music. I can't necessarily always speak for African Americans, but I know as black British people, I've heard some things that people in our community say or have said about him, and it's just, again, it's perspective. So, I could also definitely be the one who doesn't hold the right opinion, but I just hear stuff come from in our community that's come from him, and it just baffles me. It's like really destructive, not the way forward.
The amount of times that Louis Farrakhan has been clipped up for saying so-called Jews ridiculous. But when you actually listen to the whole speech, it's like there's a whole rhetoric before it where he's talking about so-called Christians or so-called Muslims, but it doesn't fit the agenda of the people who want him off or out of the press. So when it comes to cancel culture, a lot of the time people will see that clipped up image and be like, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
And then they're not interested in the rest. I think that is, but a lot of the time, who controls the social media? It's who's feeding us the information.
Yeah.
It's got to go through some channels
Yeah,
to get somewhere somehow. When do we feel like we've gathered enough information that correlates with each other to say this person
needs to be cancelled?
Nah. For me, when you say cancel culture, the first person that pops to my head is R. Kelly. Cancelled. Done.
Yeah.
It's finished. Should Michael Jackson have been
That's
cancelled?
That's
a lot
one.
of history back up in
That's got a lot to it.
long left, man.
But nobody's
a lot of
come
things.
There's a lot that's
there's a lot
happened
to
in
take
general
in when it comes to
for
Michael
him.
Jackson.
But with R. Kelly, it's like we've seen the proof more than
He
enough.
had a cult of
We
women.
saw, literally more than enough. These people are still here to this day, showing how damaged they are by him.
Yeah.
Like, you need to be cancelled and state it.
But one thing I will say though is like, man did have a theme park in his garden though.
I do agree with you that celebrities shouldn't be the people that we are.
You go higher.
holding
If
to
you're
a
gonna do
certain
it, go
standard.
higher.
However, we as a people are giving them so much from our pocket, from our streams, from our time, from our sharing, from our, I guess, community advertising of their stuff. We are essentially funding and paying for their lives. So
What is a celebrity though? What is a celebrity, and
I
if
don't
they're not
know.
to be followed, then who is to be followed? Now I'm not saying celebrities are to be followed, but I'm just following up your question with another question. Like, if they're not to be followed, then who is to be followed? Because politically speaking, in terms of people who are the real movers and shakers, who's who?
I think I can respond with maybe a very broad answer, and hopefully encompassing cancel culture as well. I don't think cancel culture, in terms of the masses, especially in terms of using social media, is beneficial. I think community policing of some sort would be more beneficial and have more real world effects, both for the person they're trying to reprimand and for the people doing it, because not only are you more likely to be there physically, so you will feel what is going on, so you might involve more empathy, you might not involve more empathy. It allows for more personal and intimate conversations and lessons on it.
So we need a council culture.
Council culture.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a nice one.
Yeah.
That would be a good one.
Instead of a council, we need a council, which we used to have once upon a time.
Once upon a time, yeah.
But there's not enough influential people that these days anyone can be called.
That can actually form a group to actually do it.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think, like you said earlier, there's a lot in language that we don't look at. Influencers and followers, and there's a lot in language that we don't look at. So I think, like you said, cancel culture. Whose culture is being cancelled and how? Because a lot of atrocities are committed under cover. And it's because cancelling certain people and disconnecting from their culture, so they don't want to mix with this person or this these type of people are always involved in messing with little girls, or these type. Do you know what I mean? It's whose culture's being cancelled and how, or why can you not highlight certain things about certain people and it not be deemed as reverse racism or
Don't exist. Fuck it.
or
Don't exist.
yeah, or masculine hate, or I don't know. What do you
Why
call?
can't you just call people out?
For the sake of calling them out.
For calling them out. They don't destroy someone's career for the sake of it. You just want a response. You want to know what they were thinking, why they did it. You don't have to ruin their life in that sense, because they're the same people when they ruin their life to go back and be like, oh, yeah. But sorry, we didn't know you were doing that. Didn't know you were going through that. So.
Yeah, very, very true. All right, guys, I think we're going to wrap it up there. So, give thanks to everyone for watching the show. If you've made it this far, which I hope you have, don't do like, share, and subscribe, and look out for more videos.